Hi everyone, welcome back. Katja here. And today I have got a few books for you rather than the usual one book review. We're wrapping up 5 Korean books spanning everything from magical realism and social commentary to philosophical essays. So if you've been curious about diving into Korean literature, I've got a range of books to recommend. Or maybe warn you about thinking about some of them. But anyway, let's dive in and let's start strong with my favorite of the bunch. I think maybe I should have left it for the end, but I'm so thrilled for this one. Love in the Big City by Sang-Young Park, translated by Anton. A standout from this lineup. It is a raw, chaotic, heartbreakingly real story of a young gay man navigating life in Seoul. The narrator's friendship with Jae, his partner in late night chaos, is the heart of the first part of the story, and I love the relationship between him and her. It's full of humor and tenderness, contrasting beautifully with the narrator's turbulent romances and the strained relationship with his ultra religious mother. Relationships that become expanded on in the later parts of the book. So I thought this was a really good place to start with our protagonist, this relationship with his best friend in his 20s. I was also so into how they provided a safe haven for one another. They were messy and chaotic, but together they could be wonderfully dependable when it mattered. And I have so much I'd love to say about the later parts in the book, but they have hidden depths, and I don't want to give any spoilers. So I think the main part is this book is exceptional in the way it explores love in all of its forms, romantic, platonic, and familial. So Anton Her's translation as well is pitch perfect. It's balancing this biting humor with moments that genuinely just made me tear up. It's one of those books that's going to stay with me for a while, and I've given it 5 stars, no reservations. And it makes me really sad actually to see that the average rating on Goodreads is just 3.66. So if you haven't picked it up, consider this your nudge, and a thank you to subscriber and translated fiction connoisseur Joe Smith for giving me my nudge after the book sat on my shelf for over 2 years. I had bought it as part of a 33 book haul from Tilted Access Press. I haven't read half of the books yet. I think I'm getting towards there. And this was one of the ones I had sort of like just left lingering on my shelf for a while. And I'm so glad I've finally done it. Then we have The Trunk by Kim Ryeo-ryeong, translated by a collaborative of translators. So this is a book that I was super excited about when I was looking into new releases. I was like, oh, wow, this sounds so good. Then I saw the Netflix trailer for it come out, and I was like, I'm even more excited. This is going to be amazing. And unfortunately, it didn't live up to my expectations at all. Um, the premise: a matchmaking agency rents out temporary spouses. Sounds fascinating and promising. It sounded like a sharp critique of modern relationships and just a darker social commentary narrative. Instead, what I got was something disjointed, and I don't know if that's down to the original book or down to the translation being pulled together by a collaborative of translators. Now, I can't know the why, but I do know the result is that the book raises a lot of interesting topics, themes, questions, but it simply raises them and it doesn't really bring them together, let alone wrap them up. The main character, No Inji, is actually really interesting, engaging. But the subplots from workplace corruption to stalkers never quite comes together, and the themes of queer identity and economic inequality and the demographic issues in South Korea, um, those just never get fully looked at in a meaningful way, and it feels like such a missed opportunity. So ultimately, I think it tackles too much and delivers too little. I'd love to see the Netflix adaptation, but Unfortunately, I have just taken a Netflix break. It starts on the 22nd, so I'm still in the. I've gone. I want a break, and they went, yeah, sure. It starts on the 22nd, and this adaptation's out on the 29th. Now I don't want to reactivate my account until next year, so do let me know if the Netflix adaptation ends up being good and you watch it. Let me know in the comments. Moving on. The Scent of Time by Byung-Chul Han. This is actually translated from German, and Byung-Chul Han is a South Korean-born philosopher and cultural theorist living and teaching in Germany. He was a professor at Berlin University of the Arts. Occasionally, I think, still gives courses there. And this book, The Scent of Time, is dense. It's a dense philosophical essay on our modern obsession with productivity and the crisis it has created in how we're experiencing time. Now, Hunt describes how world is fragmented, where we rush through non-places like airports, waiting rooms, and we're so disconnected from our present. His solution is rediscovering vita contemplativa, the art of lingering and reflection. And this book stretched my critical thinking muscles and left me feeling both frustrated and really fascinated. It's not an easy read, dense, abstract, but a really good critique on hyper productivity, and it just feels really relevant for today. I connected to the idea that we've accelerated our experience of time because of the commodification of time. In terms of time is money, we want to generate money, or we feel we have to generate money as time progresses. We have to be productive. We have to be seen as more productive than someone else. Even when we go on holiday, we want to be seen as having done more on our holidays, adhering to strict itineraries so we can be seen at particular places that are considered, you know, tick worthy on the checklist. So, for those into philosophical writing, definitely worth the read. But difficulty level of reading this, I feel, is like 10 out of 10. So, I'd recommend 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Berkman instead for a more accessible take on really similar themes. That said, I enjoyed, I guess, torturing my mind to the point where I felt like it was going to explode with the academic speak, and I ended up buying all of his books over there. And despite them being really short, I don't reckon I'm going to be done with them by 2030 because they are not quick reads. Then we move on to something entirely different with If You Live to 100, You Might As Well Be Happy by Rhee Kun-hoo, translated by Suphil Lee Park. So definitely much easier to read, and it's like a warm hug. It's written by 87-year-old psychiatrist Rhee Kun-hoo, who has a series of reflections on aging relationships and finding joy in life's little moments. I love the anecdotes from intergenerational living to forgiving past hurts. They're personal, they're comforting, and I just really connected to all of it. That said, it does sometimes feel a little bit surface level in terms of solutions for our modern living. But if you're looking for an inspiring, light read, this is a lovely reminder to slow down and appreciate the everyday. I enjoyed the conversational tone, but if you don't like where your narrator sort of suggests to you, why not look on the bright side by making your day more enjoyable by sharing a coffee with your coworker? If you can't change something, then try to enjoy aspects of it. If that is the sort of thing that drives you mad, which it does for a few of my friends, then this book is not going to work for you. But it certainly worked for me, and I love that he is a glass half full sort of person. Yeah, just sweet. Finally, The Marigold Mind Laundry by Jungeun, translated by Shauna Tan, another feel-good book, but it is very much magical realism. Jion, the owner of the laundromat that washes away painful memories, helps 5 customers heal while coming to terms with her own guilt and loss. And this is where the magic comes in for her. Then we have the imagery of pain turning into flower petals. It's whimsical and deeply symbolic, and the themes of chosen family and healing add emotional depth. I think if you like books about self-healing, this will work for you, especially if you're into books that lean heavily into sentimentality and aren't necessarily driven by the resolution side of things in terms of providing you with a solution. Especially because with the magical elements, you can't really employ the same methods that were used in this book to apply to your own life. If you want something that's grounded more in reality, I'd say welcome to the Hunamdong bookshop. But if you're okay with magical realism, then this is definitely one for you. Also, parts of me kind of hope that the people that did the K-drama, The Mystic Pop-Up Bar, consider turning this one into a movie because I think it would lend itself really well to something like that. But that wraps up my reading of Korean fiction in September and October. Definite love for Love in the Big City. A flop with The Trunk. Um, but otherwise, on the whole, I feel like a good reading experience. Do let me know if you've read any of these. Also, let me know what's your favorite Korean fiction novel or self-help book. Uh, are you into Byung-Chul Han? Have you read any of those others? Just let me know anything. And see you next time.